Good morning. My name is Javier Becerra. I have the great honor of being the Attorney General for the state of California and a resident of who was born and raised here in Sacramento. I'm joined by Assemblywoman or Assembly Member, as I think everyone makes reference to it these days, Assembly Member Jackie Irwin, who I am thrilled to say was the one that came up with the idea of formulating this legislation that is now law that helps protect the children who are on this playground, and each and every one of us who has children, knowing that now we have an additional form of protection. I want to make sure that we also recognize Craig Cheslog, who is here, who has made a career out of defending and supporting children, and he'll speak as well on just how important this simple piece of legislation will be for so many people, not just the children, but for the parents of these children. We're here at William Land Park because, it's probably been it's been over 50 years since I was last in this playground, in that wading pool, when I was a child. And I guarantee you, when you're a kid, you're not thinking about whether someone's stealing your Social Security number. You're just having a good time trying to make sure that your mom doesn't pull you off of the high bar before you fall, or that you don't figure out how to drown in a 1-foot wading pool. You've got other things on your mind than whether or not your identity is secure. Here's the problem. Too many kids are having their identity stolen. Here's the further problem. How many kids check their credit scores on an annual basis to make sure that their identity is still secure, or that their credit rating is still high? How many parents think about doing that for their kids? It's by law required that a parent have a Social Security number for their child. But how many parents actually know to go out there and check on the integrity of the Social Security number for their children? I guarantee you we could probably ask the moms, and are there any dads? I see mostly moms that are here this morning. I bet if we were to ask them, when was the last time you checked on the credit worthiness of your child's credit and how they're doing with their Social Security number, they would say, I never checked my daughter's Social Security number for integrity. And I sat on the Ways and Means Committee, Social Security Subcommittee. I was the highest ranking Democrat on that committee. And one of the efforts we engaged in was constantly trying to protect the Social Security number. So what Assemblymember Irwin did was so simple, but so unique and beautiful in that it helps us in taking care of something that we would otherwise not even think about. And what we have done in the Department of Justice is simply taken what Assemblymember Jackie Irwin thought about and now put it into a guide for our families. Because see, now that there is a protection for every parent to provide to their child to make sure that their Social Security numbers are not exploited, we have to teach our parents or the guardians of these children how to use that law that protects their children. And so we put together a guide at the Attorney General's office to help explore the routes that you would take to make sure that you can put a lock on your child's credit to make sure that someone isn't exploiting their Social Security number and their identity. That's simple. That's simple. But I do have one or two stories I'd like to tell. Then I'm going to turn it over to the Assembly member, because I think it's so important that we talk about how you can freeze in place your child's credit so that no one takes advantage of it other than the child or the guardian of that child. There was a young woman who, when she was 16, found out that, lo and behold, her credit had been used without her knowledge, to the point where she found that over $750,000 in charges had been placed on her credit by folks unbeknownst to her. And so that kind of activity can occur. 1 in 10 and Bethany, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 1 in 10 children often have their identity stolen? 1 in 10 children. It's happening. And we have to do what we can to protect our children, because it's not just making sure they're safe on the playground or safe when they walk to school. It's making sure their identity is safe. And with the access to the internet, with the activities that our kids engage in online, it's so important that we go out there and make sure that our kids are protected in every particular way. One last point. Este guía también lo vamos a tener en español para todas las familias y los padres que quieren proteger a sus hijos, para que su identidad no sea robada, que el número del seguro social de sus niños no sea robado, y que el crédito de sus hijos, que no creen ustedes que es algo que puede ser compromisado. Este guía le explica a cualquier pariente, a cualquier padre, cómo proteger a sus hijos para cuando ellos llegan a ser adultos, no vean que su identidad ha sido robado y que van a tener mucho problema en poder conseguir crédito en el futuro. Algo importante, algo que deberían de explorar. We hope that parents will make use of this guide and follow the steps to make sure that they too can register their children's identity and their social security numbers, so that no credit bureau will let anyone use their identity, your child's identity and social security number, to get fraudulent credit. With that, let me introduce again the champion for these children and their parents to make sure that they have a chance to grow up and live a full life, not without the uncertainty of whether their credit will hinder their progress. The Assemblywoman from the Southern California area, Thousand Oaks, Jackie Rohn.
Thank you very much, and I would like to thank Attorney General Becerra for having me here today. I'm proud to have authored this legislation to ensure that California's children have a secure future. Credit freezes are one of the most effective ways to protect credit for adults, so it's only natural that we allow children the same type of protection. Children, when they're born, they have clean credit, and that makes them a big target for identity thefts. Foster youth are specifically susceptible to child identity theft. I introduced this legislation because I had a constituent that sent me an article that cited a Carnegie Mellon study that found, as the AG said, that 10% of children have somebody else using their Social Security number. Children's Social Security numbers were used to open up credit accounts, obtain employment and driver's licenses, and purchase homes and automobiles. And it's often years before anybody realizes that their credit has been breached. This could force young children or children, once they realize that their credit has been breached, to delay attending college or purchasing a home because their credit has been destroyed. While we were going through the process of getting this bill passed, one of the assembly members actually volunteered that his credit had been destroyed and he had to actually postpone going to college for a semester because he was unable to get his student loan. And another friend talked about his 2 foster children that he later adopted who had to get new Social Security numbers because both of those numbers had been abused. In an era of increasing cyber crimes and stolen identities, it is essential that parents have a simple tool to protect the financial livelihood of their children. So I think it is outstanding that the Attorney General is putting out a guide so that parents can simply lock up their children's credit. And it's a great thing to pass a bill. It's a great bill, but if no parents are using it to protect their children, it really doesn't do much good. So I urge all parents that are listening to this, and hopefully we can spread the word through social media also. check out this guide on how to lock up your child's credit. I want to thank all the supporters that advocated on behalf of this legislation when it was before the legislature. Their hard work and determination are going to play a vital role in protecting the most vulnerable members of our society. At this time, I would like to introduce the Vice President of California Policy and Advocacy for Common Sense Kids Action, Craig Cheslog.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you, Assemblymember, and thank you, Attorney General Becerra, for having us here today. Common Sense Kids Action is the advocacy arm of Common Sense Media, and our goal is to make kids our top priority. And on behalf of our parent advocates all throughout the state of California, I want to commend the Attorney General and Assemblymember Irwin for their leadership in protecting the privacy of our children from the risk and harms of identity theft. Let's be clear. Identity theft affects many millions of Americans and costs billions of dollars each year. Identity theft can destroy credit scores, ruin job prospects, and make it impossible to take out a loan for school. Unfortunately, the most attractive targets of identity theft are our children. And as an organization that champions the privacy of everyone, especially our children, Common Sense Kids Action was proud to be a leading member of the coalition that advocated in favor of Assemblymember Irwin's legislation last year. And we are also very excited to see the release of this new consumer guide from the Attorney General's office to help parents have the tools they need to protect their children from being the victims of identity theft. This guide is an important follow-up to last year's legislation, and this is the perfect time to release it as school begins and parents and children are getting ready to embark on another year toward their futures. Together, the leadership of Attorney General Becerra and Assemblymember Irwin will help parents and guardians have the tools they need to protect their kids' privacy, including children in the most vulnerable groups, like foster children. Make no mistake, this new guide being released today is another for-kids step in the right direction on behalf of California's children. Common Sense Kids Action has been proud to continue to be a partner in these efforts to ensure kids are not the victims of the devastating harm identity theft can have for years to come. Thank you very much for your leadership, and we really are looking forward to helping protect kids going forward.
We'll take questions, but I hope you see that the underlying theme of this is you are as important as the three of us here today, because you're the ones that will get this word to parents, that there is a way to safeguard your child's identity. If you don't broadcast this, if you don't telecast this to the homes of people, if you don't somehow reach out to families and let them know of Assemblymember Irwin's great work in providing a law that gives your kids protections, then it goes to no good. So we need you to get this out. And we are willing to do this in Spanish and Chinese and Korean. You let us know. I know the Assemblymember, Craig, and I would do everything possible to make sure that you get this information out, because it is not just a public service. It can be life-changing for a lot of these kids. Thanks all very much. Appreciate your being here. Help us send this message out.